I made a video yesterday talking about Windboat, which is a brand new project that claims to allow you to have a seamless experience running any Windows app under Linux. And it got a lot of buzz, moved to hard talk about it, everything else. So this is that video right there. You can see I was showcasing it, and my claim was actually, my take on it was actually pretty different from what you've been hearing. I actually said that I think they're using exaggerated claims and it isn't secure, and I recommended that you shouldn't use it yet. And a lot of people saw this as me dogpiling on the project, even though I really tried to make it clear that that's not what I'm trying to do with this video. So if you even go down and look here, so actually there were some corrections. I did have to correct myself, and I did make a few minor mistakes with what I was talking about in the video there, the technical whatever, but my point still stands as far as even security and everything goes. But I'm not trying to hate on the project. It's very promising. So this project has a ton of potential, because being able to run software like that, being able to run software that normally isn't possible under Linux, being able to actually run it under Linux is a big step forward for compatibility and actually allowing it's a much easier experience for any kind of users if you're trying to have them move over to Linux. Because people aren't going to move to Linux if it can't run their shit. That's kind of just sad reality, okay? You can tell them, oh, use this alternative instead. Oh, don't use that, use this, whatever. They're not going to fucking listen. They want to use the shit that they know. Because trying to get someone to move from something they know to something else is a lot harder than trying to get someone to just start with something. So, if someone already knows the Adobe products and stuff, they're not going to fucking change. So, and that's a big proponent of why Linux has had such a struggle getting, actually being an alternative to Windows for the longest time. And projects like Windboat are a big step to helping resolve this problem. Now, it does say run Windows apps on Linux with seamless integration. That's kind of false advertising. And as you can see here on the website, there's no mention of if it's in a beta, it's early release, early access, or anything like that. Nowhere on the website did it mention anything along those lines of, we're just early access, it's far from done, anything like that. Now, it does do that in the GitHub. If you go to the GitHub and you go to releases and everything, they do, well, you can read it 0.8.7 and stuff, and it's like kind of obvious, yeah, see pre-release, like you can see this is an early project. But if you just go look at the website, it was like that until now. So actually, if you guys don't know, what happened was I actually spoke with the developer. So the developer of Windboat and I had a conversation because he saw the video. I added him on Twitter and I mentioned the video like, hey, I made this, hey guys, I made this video, I have some feedback for you. And so we actually talked, and I'll actually pull that up for you really quick. Yep, I found it. So let's actually go through this, because his response was fantastic. Mad respect to the developer of this project here, because the fact that he was ready to just tackle this head on, address the feedback directly, and have a conversation with me like this is really respectable. That's very commendable. Because, a lot of open source developers really aren't like that. We see so much of that kind of shitty bullshit that comes from open source developers, and I love to see this. So he said, I watched your video, I'm the creator, I want to discuss some points you raised and see if we can reach a middle ground or an agreement. And so I said, yeah, it's awesome, and then he said, first off, he talking about the artifacting and free RDP. So yeah, the way it actually displays the Windows applications to you is the Windows applications that you're running are running in a Windows virtual machine in Docker. And it's actually doing a remote desktop connection into that virtual machine to display the window, that specific application window. So, I mean, it's pretty genius from an engineering perspective, but seamless experience, and them also, mentioning on the site, it's like you're going to get the same experience as OS level native Windows, and all that. It's what they say on the website when that wasn't true. So, he mentions that, the artifacting, it happens, and that's just kind of a fact of the matter there. And I said, I mean, yeah, I get why you chose it, and that's pretty realistic, but, it's a noticeable flaw. I know you guys will work on it over time and improve it, but that takes away from the claims of a seamless experience and saying all within your Linux environment as native OS level Windows. That's a quote from the website. Of course, it isn't a guarantee. It's more so marketing speak on their website, but it's misleading. And I said, maybe eventually down the line, doing something, your own implementation that's separate from FreeRDP may be better. And then he even put this quote here of their website. He has a frequently asked questions, like a fact section, and then he has questions and answers. So why the hype if it's not seamless? And then it's like, no software is ever perfect, but blah blah blah. You can read this if you want to, but he mentioned that he did put this on the website, and it was like the promises currently there are more so promises of what you're wanting for the final product to be, not what's being offered right now, right? If that's the case, I get it, but then perhaps just make a note on the website that's a little more obvious that states that it's still in beta and not fully ready yet, because it isn't as obvious purely going off the site. When I went on that website, and when Mudahar and all these other people are just showing the website, all these YouTubers, and they're just showcasing, and it's like, ooh, look at this. You're gonna think when you read it on the label, you expect to get what you read on the label, right? If I'm gonna buy a product, I expect to get what it says it's gonna do. That'd be like buying a computer that says it's like brand new, it'll work out of the box and shit, and then you buy it and you get it, and then it's like, oh, by the way, it only half functions. It's like, come on, man. And then they're like, oh, but we're gonna make it work later. There's an obvious problem there. And when I go to the site, the first thing I see in big text is run Windows apps on Linux with seamless integration. So I expect to get that. Maybe a little text notice below the download button, like some kind of thing you can hover. Nothing wrong with an early project that has some kinks. It's very good for a beta. I actually really think the Windboat project has tons of potential, but I also think it being mass promoted by the YouTubers and whatnot, pushing it onto their audience as like, hey, you should use this tool, it's amazing, right? And it's not ready yet. It's got all these problems, making these false promises stuff. That's just a recipe for disaster. So he said he's constantly striving towards quality, hasn't abandoned the project either. We need people to tell us what we're shit at to make things better. And that's very true. That's the same case with, if you guys, this is actually pretty reminiscent of the Talon project, if any of you guys were there for that. So I made a Windows debloater, and with the entire idea of being 2 clicks and your system's fully debloated. And when I made the original video showcasing the first version of it, it wasn't out yet, but I showcased the first version of it. It was fucking trash, and there was a ton of really good feedback because it was pretty awful. But we got a ton of really valuable feedback, and we used that feedback to help finally make something great, and then had the final full, proper, stable release. And then that's when it was good. So. And then even with the rewrite of Talon, because even the first version of Talon was pretty janky and kind of messy and everything, we eventually, with all the problems and stuff that people had, we finally rewrote it based on the feedback and everything. And that's like, feedback-based development is a great thing. And this guy seems to be doing that too. So he's, I really actually respect this. So all my feedback here was to help. So the thing about my video, and the reason why I even made it in the first place, I even said this in the video, I wouldn't have wasted my breath. I would not have wasted my time, your time, anything, just to talk about something that nobody was ever gonna, that I didn't care about. By the way, I had to do that because my camera got blurry. I don't know why. The autofocus sucks. So this project, if I didn't think it had any potential, I wouldn't have talked about it. So, when I talked about it and I'm, giving this feedback, I try to make it really clear that I actually see a lot of potential in this project. But the reason why I'm calling this stuff out right now, the reason why I'm bringing it to their attention, and I even on Twitter, I actually added the guy on Twitter and I linked to the video. I said, hey, you should check this out. I have some feedback for you guys, some criticisms. I'm trying to give my feedback to these people and trying to raise awareness and get attention to this stuff for 2 reasons. One, I don't like people being falsely advertised. I don't like false advertising. I don't like people believing they're going to get something that they're not. And then also, because also there's security problems and stuff that need to be addressed. And it's like, that's obviously, if people are just gonna be jumping into that, that's scary, especially for a tool that's targeted more towards less tech savvy users. That's a recipe for disaster. You need to account for security there because the user won't. And then the second reason is because I wanted to, get them to fix it. I wanted to bring it to the developer's attention so he could address it. Those are the 2 reasons why I made the video. And the reason why I'm making this video now is because the developer actually addressed it immediately. He was very spot on with just immediately tackling this. If you actually go check the GitHub repository right now, literally that night, that I posted the video, he added an update to make it so that whenever you first open up the application, whenever you're doing the installation process, it asks you, hey, do you want to give your Windows virtual machines access to your Linux file system? Because, and it also says, warning, you know, this can be risky for malware and everything else. You got to be careful. And there's actually a toggle in the application now to toggle this on and off for your virtual machine. So, and that's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted to end up coming out of this. And then if you even go check the website like I showed, he now has the beta tag right here in big text, like a little label slapped on there, and he even has this text right here. Windboat is currently in beta, so expect to occasionally run into hiccups and bugs. You should be comfortable with some level of troubleshooting if you decide to use it. However, we encourage you to try it anyways. The current iteration is not representative of the final product. And this is exactly what I wanted to see from this guy. And massive respect to the dude, because right after I posted this video, he immediately tackled it, immediately addressed it right on the spot, and perfectly encapsulated all of my problems that I had with it and addressed them pinpoint. So there's a beta label now, so you can immediately see very easily that it's early access. And then if you go look at that, where like right under the download stuff, it's telling you, you know, hey, it's not going to be perfect, it's not indicative of the final product and everything, it's still an early prototype. This is perfect. I literally have no further complaints as far as immediate complaints. So there are a few minor problems left, and these are long-term problems that need to be addressed by the project. So first off, the artifacting that happens from free RDP still exists. And this is because that's just a struggle, an ongoing problem with RDP. So either they can work on trying to fix RDP and make it, you know, work good for this, or they can try to do their own implementation, their own kind of thing for this, because RDP isn't necessarily designed for what they're using it for here. It's for people like IT workers to remote into their office building, you know, PCs and get some shit done. So artifacting isn't too terrible there, but then, you know, this is trying to do something different. So I actually think it'd be better long-term for this project to start working on their own kind of solution and eventually fizzle out the free RDP dependency and rely on that instead. But that's a long-term project, and that's easier said than done. So if there's any developers who are watching this video and who want to help contribute to this Windboat project, you should absolutely go join their channels and try to participate, and maybe you can help create something like that to help their project, help it get going. Please do, because I mean, this project has crazy potential. But besides that artifacting, you know, there's also latency, again, a free RDP issue. If they can work on improving that latency, that'd be great. You know, that's always going to be kind of a problem there. They still need to figure out how to do GPU pass-through. So currently, all your hardware in your PC is being virtualized. It is virtual. It is not the actual bare metal hardware that you're relying on. It's a virtualized version of it. So because of this, if you're trying to do any GPU-intensive tasks, you're going to be struggling. It's going to be laggy. It's going to be having a not good time. Good luck trying to export high-quality 4K video and you know, in that or something like that, right? But you can actually pass through the bare metal hardware to the virtual machine and let it use your bare metal GPU. And if you want to talk about OS level native Windows and everything, that is exactly how you'd achieve it. And if they do that, then that would actually seriously improve this product and make Windboat a very serious contender. Now, something that you're not going to be able to fix is the fact that because you're running Windows in a virtual machine, anti-cheat games or, you know, shit with crazy DRM or whatever is still not going to run. So if it detects that you're running in a virtual machine, all that stuff, like a lot of more modern competitive games and everything like that, you're still not going to be able to run it. So trying to say that you can run any Windows app under Linux now is not true. You can run most, but, you know, you're not going to be able to run those more you know, intensive products and stuff that actually detect and block virtual machines. So there's still caveats there, and plus good luck trying to game under this too without the GPU acceleration. So there's still problems with the project. It's far from finished, and you know, they do need to address these problems and improve it further. But for an early prototype, this is insanely good. This is really good potential. It's essentially Win apps, but a more modern and actually better and more user-friendly version of it. And this has stupid potential. So that's why I'm actually really trying to push for this project. Even in the first video, I know I said don't use it yet, but that's because that's because I can't ever recommend someone to use something that has security risks and that has stuff like that in it. But I mean, he's working rapidly to address this feedback. He's very open, very transparent, owns up when there's problems, and fixes them and addresses them as soon as he can. It's very commendable. So I see a very bright future ahead for this project, and I'm really going to keep my eye on it because this is something really cool. And, you know, if you want to try it out, at least just to play around with it or anything like that, go ahead. Now that he introduced the new version that actually has a toggle to allow it to access your file system or not, and now that you can kind of toggle that and stuff, the risk has gone way down as far as security goes. There's still some potential kind of room for security flaws and stuff here and there. There's some more work that needs to be done, of course, but the biggest problem I had for it as far as security goes was literally immediately addressed. So the fact that he worked so quickly to do that, now I think I can safely say if you at least want to try it out, go ahead, but just understand it's a beta project and you're not gonna have probably a great time running more intensive shit on it. But if it's something more simple, whatever else, then I mean, go for it. Why not? You know, if you just want to try it out. If you're gonna, but I would generally recommend before you start actually trying to use this, you know what I mean? Like beyond just playing around with it. If you're gonna actually start wanting to use this, wait for a stable 1.0 complete version, you know, first, which hell may take a few years tops, but you know, the fact that it's already this far so quickly, and the fact that the developer seems to be really, I mean, I really actually, after talking to this developer, I'm really excited for the future of this project. So I see crazy potential with it. And just in case if you were wanting to see the rest of the conversation, that is OBS, you can see I don't mind adding a beta label to the download button if you feel like that ease your concerns. The reason I did is not because it's deceptive, but because we have a beta, we have beta in our repo with a big warning sign. And I said that definitely help, you know, as for security concerns. And then we talked about file system access and everything like that. And then I talked about my ideas for how to fix that. And then we discussed Docker privileges and everything like that. And then he ended up agreeing to just, you know, yeah, that's how I meant it. Yeah, that was my aim. And then he's like, as for the OS verification, you know, he's going to try to work with the Docker dev. And then he said, I wouldn't mind, you know, I wouldn't have come here if I wasn't interested in resolving the problems. I have a small request for you, however. And he asked me to change because there are a lot of people, and some people, even my comments pointed this out. So there's a lot of people who will just read a title or look at a thumbnail and then immediately assume shit. They just read the headline. They don't bother actually listening to the full thing. And my thumbnail before was in big red text and not secure with the Windboat thing on it. And, you know, obviously, yeah, I don't want to send any hate brigades or anything like that to this project. I don't want to destroy a project that has so much potential and is going early on. So I changed it per the request of the guy, and I agreed with him. Yeah, honestly, I should change it to something a little better. So that's why you see the brand new thumbnail for that video. If you go look at it, it still gets my point across from the video, and I'm not going to back down on what I said in that video, because at the time of the video, that was the situation. And I fully agree with everything I said then still now for that version. But the fact that he addressed everything now and is addressing things so quickly, this is my opinion now. I mean, this shit is actually really cool. And, you know, the rest of the conversation's pretty simple, and then it kind of deviates after that. They're talking about a laptop and everything like that. We talked a little bit more in private DMs because I wanted to talk to him about something that I have planned for the future, and I want to, you know, you may actually see the Windboat project pop up again someday soon here, because, you know, actually I have some ideas I was chit-chatting about. You know, we have some cool things going on, so you guys just wait and see. But that's about it. I just, you know, I hope it's clear, though, that I wasn't ever trying to hate on this project. My whole point of making that video is because I want to see this succeed. It's pretty neat. You know, early projects have growing pains. You know, it is what it is. But I at least, if I can help, you know, kind of bring feedback to that, address it, get it fixed, then that's awesome. So yeah, really, that's about it.